Hello everyone and welcome to the We Love Betting preview of the US Open, the fourth and final Grand Slam of the season. We entered this tournament on the back of two hard-court Masters events at Montreal and Cincinnati, both of which were won by Rafael Nadal. The wins have shot Nadal up to the second seed in the world behind Djokovic, with Murray third, Ferrer fourth, five times champion Federer seventh, whilst his conqueror in 2009 Del Potro seeded sixth. Of the top seven seeds in this tournament, only two players, Ferrer and Berdych, haven't won this slam, so it should be for some tournament over the next 2 weeks. Starting things off in the first quarter, world number one Djokovic bids to make it four straight US Open finals this year, with his only win coming back in 2011. Djokovic has won two hardcourt titles this season, including the Australian Open. However, he hasn't won a title since Monte Carlo, despite going deep in every tournament. Djokovic potentially faces Rosol in the second round, Dimitrov in the third, and Fognini in the fourth. But given that Nadal has never lost to these three in a hard court, combining for a 7-0 record, he should make the quarters easily enough. In the bottom half of the quarter, Del Potro has been given a brute of a draw if he is to make the final. His run looks like Hewitt's second round, Meltzer is currently in the last four of the Winston-Salem tournament third round, then Tommy Haas in the fourth round. Del Potro has been excellent for the last 2 months and hasn't lost to either Hewitt or Meltzer. Whereas against Haas, I've unexpectedly found that Del Potro has got 5-0 perfect record against him in a hard court, and all wins have come in straight sets. Assuming Del Potro and Djokovic keep to form, they should meet in this mouth-watering quarter-final. The two have had epic encounters recently at Wimbledon, where Djokovic won in 5 sets, as well as last year's US Open. Djokovic has had Del Potro's number 6-2 in head-to-heads when playing on a hard court, including two straight set wins over the Argentinian in recent years at the US Open. Del Potro did beat Djokovic at Indian Wells this year, but I expect Novak over 5 sets to win this match and ultimately the quarter. In the second quarter, defending champion Murray has a decent run to the quarter-finals, with potential opponents including Lodra, Monaco, Seppi, Almagro and Istomin. However, as a group, these five are combined for 1-12 against Murray on a hard court, so the Scots should once again make it through to the last 8. In the bottom half of the quarter, Berdych, Murray's conqueror in Cincinnati, is the favourite to also make the last 8. Berdych's draw is decent, given he could face the inconsistent Shardy and most likely one of Rowinkwah, Anderson or Stepanek. The Swiss number 2 is out of form, and Anderson is 0-4 with Berdych on a hard court, while Stepanek hasn't made it to a Grand Slam quarter-final in years. Berdych has a 6-4 record over Murray, with the hard court encounters split at 3 apiece. However, Berdych has won both matches this year against Murray, and both in straight sets, with their last match just 2 weeks ago in Cincinnati. For me, the value lies in Berdych to win this quarter and not the Scot. The third quarter is by far the weakest in the tournament. Ferrer and Gasquet should meet in the quarters, but there's plenty of banana skins along the way. Interestingly, this quarter has 9 of the 17 total qualifiers or lucky losers. Gasquet has never got past the last 16 here, and in that round, this time around, he could face Raonic or Lopez. Both players are in form, with Raonic recently losing in the Montreal Masters final to Nadal, whilst Lopez was just edged out in Cincinnati by Del Potro. Should Raonic and Lopez meet in the third round, I would favour Lopez against Raonic, as Raonic is just 2-4 against left-handers this year. However, against Gasquet, Lopez is 0-4 against him playing on a hard court. That being said, I feel Lopez is much stronger now than their last meet in 2010, and we could see an upset against the Frenchman. It's worth noting in the last 3 years at Flushing Meadows, only Murray and Nadal have knocked out Lopez, so he's obviously tough to beat at Flushing Meadows. In the bottom half of the draw, Ferrer and Gulbis potentially has Gulbis in the third round, but the Latvians never got past the last 16 here. Gulbis has an awful record in slams this year, with 3 wins and 2 losses, but then again, Ferrer has recently lost to Bogobolov and Tursunov in recent weeks, so an upset could definitely be on the cards. Up next for the winner of that match would be an out-of-form Tsarevic or Yaronets, who has been incredibly quiet since Wimbledon and he also has arm injuries. This is a tough quarter, and whilst we may see Gasquet Ferrer in the last 8, it could easily just be Lopez against Gulbis. The final quarter is an excellent one with Nadal and Federer involved. Federer faces the awkward big serving Querrey early on, but he's gone deep in this week's ATP event, so it's tough to see him beating Federer after this week's exertions. Tomic or Nishikori would be next, but their records versus top 10 players this season is a combined 2-11. So again, I expect Federer to make his way past these 2 opponents into the last 8. In the bottom half of the quarter, Nadal, who's an unbeaten 15-0 in hard courts this season, with 3 Masters events to his name, has a few tricky opponents with big serving Dodig and fellow countryman Verdasco, who has pushed him close in recent years, potential encounters. However, either way, Nadal should get through these early obstacles, and it's in the fourth round where he could have some trouble up against big serving Isner. The American recently beat Djokovic and Del Potro back-to-back in Cincinnati before running out of steam against Nadal in the final. However, his run before their match this time around is a lot easier, and given Nadal playing his third straight hard-court tournament in a row, I wonder how his knees will cope. Nadal is 4-0 over Isner, but last week's win in Cincinnati was via 2 tie-breaks, and over 5 sets, Isner could grind out a huge shock win over the Spaniard if we see a repeat of these tie-breaks. So moving on to the semis, I expect Djokovic to face face off against Berdych, but the Serb has a Czech's number, and he's a combined 14-2 against Berdych. And given that Berdych has to beat Murray along the way, over 5 sets, I just don't think he's going to have enough to beat the Serb. In the other semi, it's hard to predict. I mentioned earlier in the third quarter summary that Ferrer, Gasquet, Lopez and Gulbis all have a chance to win the quarter, but against Federer, Isner and Nadal, I expect one of these 3 to get to the final and face Djokovic. In the final, I like the world number 1 for the obvious reasons. He's been in 3 straight finals here at the US Open and has an excellent record against his potential opponents. The worst case for the prudent traders out there is back Djokovic outright, and ahead of this final he'll be odds-on favourite to win at this stage, and the profit could easily be secured if that's how you like to go about things. So overall I think Djokovic is going to win the US Open, but to look at my bets for this, I'm going to stake just under 15 units. So here we go. I like Djokovic to win at 9-4 with Ladbrokes for 6 points, straight win, where we get a refund if Murray wins the tournament. I will also back Federer at a huge 16-1, 2 points each way at Sportingbet. If Nadal crashes out, this price will plummet, and he did actually get very close to beating Nadal only last week, so this does look like a decent value bet, despite the poor head-to-head against Rafa. Also, as mentioned earlier, it might not even be Rafa. We could see Federer up against Isner, and not the Spaniard, and in this case, the Swiss will be heavily big favourite to beat Isner. Berdych to win the second quarter for 2 points is another bet I like at Betfred and you win. If he faces Murray in the last 8, he won't be that big to beat him, having beaten him twice this season, both in straight sets. And again, if you do want to trade it, you can easily trade that one. In the third quarter, I like for half a point Lopez to win the quarter, a huge 66-1 with Betfred. And also 1 point on Gulbis to win the third quarter at 12-1, hoping that the Latvian produces the form that beat Murray only a few weeks ago, and not his typical Grand Slam form that he has this season. In the final quarter, I've already got Federer outright, but as a saver, I will take Isner to win the quarter, again at a huge 20-1 for 1 point with Ball Sports or VC Bet, as I feel if Nadal's knees do give him some trouble, he could be vulnerable against a huge serving Isner. And again, if he does beat Nadal against Federer, he'll be a huge trade opportunity, as he won't be 20-1 to win that match anymore. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed my preview. Just under 15 points staked, as I said. If you have any questions or want to query any things like predictions I've got, give me a tweet at Vinny Castro 27. If not, good luck with your bets and be lucky. Cheers.